Welcome to the Ambassador Baseball Show. My name is Cole Cleveland, and I'm the director of the Oklahoma City Ambassadors. Thank you for joining us today. We're continuing on our discipleship through Proverbs chapter 3. We have memorized through verse 20 as of this week, and it's been a blessing. Let's jump right in. It says, verse 19, "The Lord by wisdom founded the earth, by understanding established the heavens. By his knowledge the deep broke open, and the clouds dropped down to the dew." We talked about the poetic purpose of these two verses last time that we went through this. I want to talk from an overview standpoint today, looking at the wisdom of God that founded the earth, the understanding, establishing the heavens, and then his knowledge breaking open the deep. Of course, we talked about this being the flood last time, which it was. In the time of the flood, which wickedness was all over the earth, and God judged the earth because of it. And then, of course, we have the rainbow that promises that he'll never flood the earth again. But in this time, we have much turmoil that is taking place. I mean, many people, everyone except for one family dies. And so the flood, it is very symbolic of many things, but it's symbolic of much turmoil, much wrong, much seemingly out of our control, seemingly out of control altogether. And yet we walk into the flood, we walk into it by understanding that it was God's wisdom that founded the earth, God's understanding that established the heavens, and it was his knowledge that caused the flood to happen, caused the flood to occur, caused the deeps to break open. You know, in our lives, very often, we feel like things are spiraling out of control. We feel like we can't get our hands around things. And the fact of the matter is, it is out of our control, and it is in God's total control. And the sooner that we realize that, the more comfort and peace that we will have in this life. You know, if God can, in his wisdom, found the earth, establish the heavens, and cause the flood, can God not have total control in the situations that seem like they are turmoil in your life? And that's such a strong reality that we need to come to grips with in our spiritual life, is no matter what it seems like is going on in your life, God is in control. This is more than just the old cliche that says, you know, don't worry about it. You know, God will never give you more than you can handle. Well, the fact that's not actually in the Bible. He does give you more than you can handle, and that's the point. He gives you more than you can handle so that you can totally depend on him. He never gives you more than he can handle. That's the reality. So you will receive more than you can handle. And the fact is that as long as you're trying to handle it, you're going to drown. But as soon as you hand it over to him, depending on him for everything, for your entire sanctification, then you will have peace, and you will have much relief, and you will have much satisfaction in his sovereignty. It's not this idea that you ended up in a situation that's totally out of control and in complete turmoil, and now God has to come rescue you. No, the fact of the matter is that God founded that storm. God established that storm. God created that storm. God planned that storm. God caused that storm to come upon you for your good, Christian, for your sanctification, Christian, for your purification, Christian. And it's not this idea that you're looking for an escape. It's this idea that you are learning to depend on God so that he can purify you in this time. And then once you have been sanctified through this storm, the storm then moves on. But it's this wrong concept in American Christianity that we think that, oh no, here we find ourselves in Satan's storm and God's got to come in and rescue us. No. As Christian, Satan has no power over you. God founded the storm. He established the storm. He created the storm. He planned the storm. He times the storm. And it's exactly when it's supposed to be in your life. Here's the purpose. The purpose is learn to depend totally on him and stop depending on yourself. Lean not on your own understandings. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Of course, we go back to that study in Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. To acknowledge him means to know him, to be known by him, and to make him known. And that's what we're to do in the time of the storm, is we are to know him, we are to be known by him, and we are to make him known, leaning not on our own understandings. In doing this, the Lord will make straight our path. And so that's the thought for today, and something I want you to meditate on is, if God founded the earth, he separated the earth from the heavens, and then he created the flood, which from the outside seems very mean and very much out of control and much turmoil. And yet he had a purpose, which says that the clouds drop down the dew, which of course we looked at last. That's a foreshadow of Christ, a foreshadow of hope. If this is true, if it's true that God did all this in creation, can it not be true? Can you not rely on the fact that God has total control in your life? Can you not rely on the fact that this storm is purposed and planned, founded, created, and timed for your good and for God's glory? And so, Christian, your responsibility is to totally depend on God and rely on him every step of the way. If you are in the midst of a storm, take the next right step. That right step will always be in accordance with God's will. Seek his will. Don't worry about escaping the storm. Worry about taking the next right step. And if you do that enough times, you'll find yourself purified, sanctified, and you'll find yourself in greener pastures. Let us trust the Lord in the storm. Let us trust the Lord who has created the storm. Let us trust the Lord who has total sovereignty, total control over every storm.